Hello, I'm Rachael Plant. So, one of the 7 B's of attachment parenting is breastfeeding. And I'm going to talk today about a particular aspect of breastfeeding, which is extended breastfeeding. By the way, we're actually house sitting, me and my daughter, at the moment, and we're looking after 3 dogs, and I've got all of them sitting with me at the moment, so they might pop their heads up, you might be able to hear them, but I'm going to carry on regardless. Okay, so yeah, extended breastfeeding. So what does the term extended breastfeeding mean? It is anything beyond 12 months of age. So if your child is 1 or over and you're still breastfeeding, it's considered extended breastfeeding. And what are the benefits of extended breastfeeding? That's what I'm going to talk about today. Why is it a good idea to continue breastfeeding past 12 months? So I don't think any of us actually sets out, well, maybe some do, I don't know, but I didn't in the beginning. I breastfed because it was the easiest thing to do, really. I got into attachment parenting by accident because it felt like at first I did try to do all the scheduling and baby training, and I read all of those kinds of books, and it felt really unnatural. It didn't feel intuitive at all. But to hold my baby, to be with my baby, to breastfeed my baby when she cried, when she needed to be fed, it felt like the right thing to do. And I just went along with it because, you know what? Having had a really long and difficult labour and birth, I didn't have much of a brain to be able to be starting schedules and stuff. So for the first few weeks, we just sat together on the settee, and I fed her when she needed feeding, and she slept and I slept. And that's how I got into it. That's how I got into attachment parenting. And I found out later on that there was actually a label for it, a term for it. But really, it's just how we should be. It should be parenting. It's how our ancestors parented. It's how, if you're in tune with your baby, if you're connected to your baby, it just feels the right thing to do. So going back to what are the benefits of extended breastfeeding? So for me, it was getting a good night's sleep. That was the main one, because I co-slept with my child. She would wake a couple of times in the night. She slept right beside me. She would just slip onto my boob. She would go straight back to sleep. So there was no crying. There was no getting up to soothe her in the middle of the night. It was just really straightforward, easy, and it meant that we both got the best possible night's sleep. So many of my attachment parenting friends have said if they didn't breastfeed their toddler, they don't know how they would have parented. It is such an easy way to parent, actually, because your child falls over and they're crying, you whip out your boob, and it soothes them instantly. It's a really comforting, bonding thing. They're upset. It works in so many different ways. To get them to sleep, to soothe them, and but that's a bit of a flippant way of looking at it, but it's such a bonding experience. It is such a close, you have a really close it feels really close when you're breastfeeding your baby and your toddler. It got to the point, okay, benefits. So there are health benefits, because your child, your older child, is still getting all of the antibodies that are in your system, the same as they were when they were a younger baby. So your child is helping it's helping to build their immune system. Benefits. I've got a list here. Health benefits. Yeah, it makes bedtime so much easier. She would just boob for a couple of minutes, and then she'd be fast asleep, and then waking through the night again. She'd get back to sleep straight away. Now, okay, so those are the benefits. There are health benefits. There are emotional benefits for your child. You know that they're still having that really close bond with them, with you. It is really, you know, my daughter talks about it, you know, with real sort of fondness. You know, when she used to have, she called it BBs. When she started to be able to talk, she used to call it BBs. I want BBs, mummy. And she still has a real sort of fondness for that time. And I breastfed her till she was 5. Now, that sounds, some people might be like horrified. That 5 sounds like really quite, you know, quite a grown-up child. She wasn't having breast milk all the time. It was to drop off to sleep at night and first thing in the morning. And even that over time diminished, but it was all on her terms. It was all when she was ready. And I was ready for her to stop a lot sooner than she actually stopped herself. It just came to a natural kind of conclusion. So there was like a few nights she hadn't asked and I hadn't offered. And then that turned into a few weeks and then a few months. And then she did, after about 3 months, she asked again. And the milk was still there. And then over the years, since she's 8 now, so over those 3 years, she has, like, there's maybe 2 or 3 times when she's asked. And she says this, there is still some milk there. So I am still lactating. But yeah, so it was very much kind of on her terms. So I will say that by the time she was 1, I would have been happy if she didn't want to do it anymore. It was, there were nice times when we kind of cuddled and it was nice to feed her, but by that time she had teeth. She was really wriggly. She would do gymnastics, you know, she would be over my shoulder, kind of breastfeeding down, her head would be down here, you know, she would be twiddling and she would be twirling and pulling my hair and, you know, all those kinds of things. So it started to get kind of annoying. Can you get down? Can you just get down so I can actually talk to the camera? Would that be okay? Can you just move a little bit? Yeah, so there were times when it would be kind of like, I don't want to be doing this, but because she enjoyed it so much and because it was, you know, it was a real bonding thing, we did continue. We continued, and as time went on, she wasn't doing it as often, and it did drop off. And you know, there was times when I didn't want it to be that close to me, and this is a thing that that a lot of attachment parents feel. I think, you know, I've heard many people talk about it, how you know, it's like you kind of get to that point. You get to that point when you're ready to give it up. Because it's so important to your child, which is kind of like, you know, people, you know, I got comments from friends and family about how, you know, it's a bit weird and it's a bit, you know, at that age. And this is the misconception, I think, that people think that the parents are still, you know, the mothers are still doing it for their benefit, and it's kind of, in my experience, it's the opposite way around. So yeah, is there anything else I want to say on that? The benefits, there are huge benefits for your child, for their you know, their health and their emotional well-being. They're the main ones, and also for your parenting, for your peace of mind. It's a really, you know, even though I got to that point where I would be touched out sometimes and I would kind of be, I'd have had enough of it, really, I kind of look back on it with a lot of fondness. It's really a lovely time to spend with your child. So yeah, that's my take on my own experience of the benefits of extended breastfeeding.